Out from the primary election, and there are two people who hope to unseat incumbent U.S. Senator Deb Fischer. One of those people is also running as a Republican. Aaron Kowalski also happens to be a Nebraska rancher. KETV News Watch 7's Quinicia Frazier sat down with both candidates to hear their appeal to voters.
U.S. Senator Deb Fischer stays busy traveling the state of Nebraska these days.
Nebraskans know me.
Whether it be part of her job duties or her run for re-election.
We face so many challenges now, and I want to be a part of solving those challenges.
Challenges like a growing crisis at the U.S.-Mexico border, something Fischer says is top of mind for her.
I would make sure that we had to remain in Mexico. I would make sure that we would eliminate the catch and release, and I would make sure we would build the wall.
Fischer says keeping families safe is another priority, which is why she's adamant about supporting law enforcement.
I'm very, very pleased to be able to say that I've been endorsed by a number of police organizations, a number of sheriffs as well.
When it comes to Nebraska's #1 industry, the cattle rancher says she's focused on precision agriculture.
To bring technology to agriculture, to use more of that technology to be able to farm and ranch in a more sustainable manner, to control water inputs, to control fertilizer inputs, and then have more outputs at the end of the day.
Another candidate in the race passionate about agriculture is Aaron Kowalski, a farmer and rancher from east of Grand Island.
If you want somebody to, get dirty, I'm willing to do that because, well, I'm a farmer and we're not afraid of the mud.
Politically, Kowalski describes himself as a pragmatist.
I promise to break the status quo. I do not like this neoliberal, neocon, hegemonic political system that we live in.
And his main campaign policy is what he calls the rural revolution.
One of the policies I want to aim for is a 21st century Homestead Act. I believe that if we were to build houses as a nation, we should focus that construction in our small town.
With his opponent being very focused on the situation at the border, Kowalski's got some thoughts too. His solution is to improve the country's visa program.
It means they can purchase insurance, they can go to the authorities if there's a problem, we'll have a record of them, they can't illegally vote, we'll have the records to prove that they're not citizens, and we need to go from there.
Kowalski says it's time for not just new leaders, but new ideas in Congress.
Right now, we have opportunities that our current leaders just cannot see because they are blind to what the common person is going through.
Quinicia Frazier, KETV News Watch 7.